It's never happened before. It's the first time. Spiiill is part of Scratch Renaissance, which is Chisenhal Dance's initiative to revitalise Scratch culture. And my idea was to have the artists be the unfinished and developing work, and for that to materialise as an event in practising speaking about a dance practice. My professional development program is going to keep pointing at icons. Identity, Ideas, Industry, the 3 I's in the middle of Spiiill, as a method to the madness, people, is 8 years old, and I feel like year on year we dance less and less and talk more and more, and I feel that's largely a community need. We're together 10 till 6, Monday to Friday, and that's a lot of time for things to spill out, and there's very rarely time for things to spill out. And that is in movement as well, and developing that way, but especially when it comes to formulating sentences about your identity as a mover and a maker. It's very rarely trained until you're maybe in a high pressure situation and you've got a minute to talk to that person that you hope might support or fund your thing, and makes it a lot less fun, I think. And I love to chat. And even I struggle when I'm like, so what are you up to? I'm like, oh, the elevator pitch has left me, it's left me. And I have friends that I used to get really annoyed at for talking about themselves and what they were up to all the time. And now I realise that they were practising. And now they are regularly funded showmaking folks. I'm like, huh. We were really your soundboards for that decade, weren't we? Cool. So I hope to be that soundboard, really, for the 3 artists that you'll hear from this evening. We'll speak, not as if you're not here, but I want to make it as gentle and intimate as I can for the artists that I'm speaking to, and then we'll open up so that you can see some of their work. And then I'll leave some space for questions and observations around that work and them after each artist. Sound okay? Yeah. Wonderful. I'll stop, well, I won't stop speaking, so I am in conversation with the artists. I won't just be like, clocks on. But I'll speak a little less now and introduce our first artist, Sneha. Hi.
Hello.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Okay?
Thank you.
Good. I'm going to get more comfortable.
Yes.
I would love to ask what I ask everyone. It's one of my intro questions at III, which is to ask you to introduce yourself creatively speaking. So who are you, creatively speaking?
Creatively speaking, I am a storyteller. I like listening to stories to begin with, about people, and right now in my dance journey I've become someone who likes to take those stories and narrate them for people. So yeah, storyteller.
Which dance styles are you using to tell your stories?
So I am originally trained in Bharatanatyam. It's an Indian classical dance form. I think it's only recently that I've started exploring a bit of other dance forms like contemporary, a lot of Indian folk dances, and a bit of more specific bits from other Indian classical dances like Kathak, Kuchipudi, etc., etc. So I can see all of them blending in a bit, and I can see my artistry traveling from one form to another, but predominantly the foundation of it is in Bharatanatyam.
And how long have you been dancing?
I, like most Indian kids, I was introduced to Bharatanatyam at a very young age, but I think I only started seriously pursuing it since 2017. So I can't do math very quickly, but like whatever, those number of years. Yes, thank you. That.
Quick ones.
Thank you.
you, not to zero in on the work too quickly, but there are two themes that you mentioned to me that are in it, and that they seem like pretty big themes to your dance practice in general. So maybe we can talk a little bit about those two themes being neurodivergence and identity. Maybe if we start with identity, is there any specific element of that that you're speaking about in your work, or that you work with in your practice in general?
I think, again, identity for me personally, it's ever evolving. It has been changing rapidly actually in the last 3 years, ever since I've moved to the UK. I was brought up in India, so being a fish in the pond, I just had a very closed worldview of what's happening. And then when I moved to the UK, I introduced myself to so many different worlds. And I think even as a woman, that's the very first identity that I realized that I find so much more joy as a woman ever since I have found this space of independence. And I see that seeping into my work. I'll come to neurodivergence, which is also a part of my identity, but I'll come to that in a bit. There's also another part that is mental health that plays such an important role when it comes to identity, because it sort of, again, is something that I was introduced to after I came here, because I started speaking to people, understanding their journeys, and then realizing, oh, there's a bigger conversation here that most of the times we don't often have. So I think being a woman, and then also about a bit about mental health, and then thirdly and most importantly, being a migrant in this country. It's actually very interesting that I had to ask myself a lot more uncomfortable questions recently when I worked for the V&A East Storehouse, where we were doing a piece on the Agra colonnade, which was something that was brought from India actually. And there were so many questions about what is home for me, what does home look like, are there two places, are they is it the people that I meet, is it the place that I'm in? So many questions about what does being a migrant really look like has become such an important part of my identity, because there are too many questions that I'm seeking answers for now. So I think it's an amalgamation of all these three things. Yeah.
Incredible that you've been here for 3 years and done what you have done. Like, incredible. Yeah. Also, Sneha voiced being a little nervous, not getting that in any way, shape or form. You're knocking it out of the park so far. I have so many questions now coming out of that. I'll let them stew a little bit more. Shall we move on to the neurodivergence aspect of your work?
Yes.
I feel like opening the floor for you to say as much or as little about that is the right thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So neurodivergence, again, is, I must say, it's an ever-evolving topic for me, because I have only recently started reading and understanding what it entails, and my thoughts and my views about it are changing as each day passes. Just as this piece took 1.5 to 2 years of research just on a specific aspect of neurodivergence. But again, after I moved here, through one of these conversations, I came across someone who was diagnosed with ADHD, and we were having a lot of conversations where I started realizing that there may be a lot of parallels that I have with whatever they were explaining about their life experiences. And I started asking myself whether, do I have ADHD? Am I someone who could be diagnosed with this? And so forth. And I think this led me to a really good conversation with my therapist, who then asked me the question of, why do you want to get diagnosed? Like, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to seek medication? Are you going to seek, are you going to change your lifestyle about it? Or are you just going to use this label? And that actually led me to read more and understand more about how does this help? Like, how does a diagnosis actually help someone? And how does someone reach until that space where they can get themselves diagnosed? So those questions and those curiosities led me to not only understand ADHD, but also the other, the spectrum as a whole. But ADHD specifically was something that I wanted to dig deeper into. Mm-hmm. So I started, I love watching films. I love the artistry behind filmmaking. And I started rewatching rather, films that I've watched in the past and seeing how what the nuances are of characters who have ADHD within them. So I understood that it's way beyond just a diagnosis. It's way beyond just, again, medication or the label. It's so much more. The weight of being on the spectrum is way bigger than I can put into words or actually even choreograph into a piece. But I wanted to create something that may make people feel that, oh, I see, this has happened with me. I probably need to seek help. And that's how I brought in neurodivergence as well into my craft. I still don't have a diagnosis, but I do know a lot of other friends of mine who did get a diagnosis after these conversations. Mm-hmm. The piece that we'll be sharing today, after the debut of that piece, a lot of my friends actually did end up going to psychologists and talk to their therapists and seek help at the end of the day. And I wanted that to happen. I wanted people to just find comfort in knowing that they're not alone, and there's absolutely no shame. Actually, that's not the right way of saying it, but there's hope at the end of the tunnel, yeah.
And no shame.
Yeah, and yes, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. We're meeting today for the first time and I'm having a ball, so sorry if I'm just like counting you out. It's like, and then, and then.
Yes.
You spoke about film as an inspiration. Any specifics that you return to, and are there any other areas that you're looking to inspire your work?
This specific work I rewatched multiple times. Two films. One is this film called Everything Everywhere All at Once. A small part of it is about ADHD. And actually, interestingly, my costume, which is also very much like the color scheme, is inspired from the color scheme of Everything Everywhere All at Once. So that film has actually played a very, very big role in the visuals and some thematic movement-based inspirations as well. The other film is an Indian film which was about dyslexia, but for me the main takeaway from that film was about how the perception of neurodivergence and children on the spectrum, to be more specific. Mm-hmm. It's this Indian film called Tare Zameen Par. It's a beautiful film which again was released ages ago, but it's handled with so much care and again nuance, which again it was very interesting to deconstruct and understand how can you perceive neurodivergence and how can you make someone feel comfortable so that they can then go ahead and show their best selves. So yeah, those two films.
Thank you. Community is it's not a big part of a practice, but it enables practice, I feel like. And 3 years is a relatively short time to be here and build that. You're based in London, is that right?
Yes, yeah.
So uninformed, sorry. I wonder how you found finding communities since you've been here, and in which, not necessarily physical spaces, but which corners of the dance world here you've found that so far, or creative world if we zoom out a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. Before I moved to the UK, I had done a ton of research about South Asian dance spaces in London specifically, and I had actually reached out to most of them. And serendipitously, this one specific organization called London Adavu did get back to me, and I started doing regular practice sessions with them. It's a community for Bharatanatyam dancers in the UK. From that community onwards is how I've sort of found my second family here. It's easier to go the familiar route, right? Like you go to a space where you know people who know the same art form as you do, and then from there we branch out into other art forms and other dance forms and the likes. So interestingly, this piece was also debuted at London Adavu's showcase, their sharing platform, and it was quite, that space has given me a lot of outlets to then go ahead and explore different art forms, because it's connected me to different people that then pursue different art forms. I've met so many friends, I've met so many artists, and now I've also started collaborating with artists from, as I said, different art forms. So contemporary dancers who have also trained in Bharatanatyam, Bhangra dancers who are also trained in Bharatanatyam, just going through the familiar routes and now slowly branching into unfamiliar spaces. That's how it's been. I'm pretty sure I'm missing out on some names, but yeah, it's majorly been this.
You say about having like the simpler path, as you said, when there's that kind of common ground, but I think that people that do move to London underestimate that still takes just so much confidence. Like I was born here and I started to dance. I just went with a mate that didn't want to go to class on their own. Like that's why I went. It's like this stupid thing, but I'll go with her. So I didn't really have to drum up the confidence because I was just going to keep her company and I didn't really want to do it anyway. So it kind of shielded any of that from me. But the guts that I think it takes to be somewhere that you're not from and you don't have that, like you don't have your school friends here, say, and to just put yourself in spaces, again, dance style in common or not, I just think is really so major and that you should continue to pat yourself on the back for. And that goes for the ones that I do know and don't that might not be from London. Like London's a beast of a city, man. And I feel that as well, I don't live here anymore, I moved out, but as someone that spent 36 years here, it's still like mammoth. So to come here from, whether it's the same size city or a smaller town, what have you, but to find yourself and your people in a space like this is really not for the weak. So you're doing great. If that's something that you guys have had to navigate as well. Let's take ourselves back to the, not back, onwards to the work. Is there anything that you'd like to say about it before we take a look? We can add after the fact if you prefer.
Yeah, actually, I had made a conscious decision of not sharing anything about the piece because I actually want to know what is the visceral reaction to it, whatever it may look like. But since it's been chopped from a bigger piece of work, I'll just give a small context of the fact that the character has just woken up from her nap. No, she's just woken up in the morning. Yeah, not going to talk about the naps. She's just woken up in the morning and she is now at a space that is commanding her to be a certain way. And I think I'm just going to leave you with that. And yeah, you can.
Where are you performing it? Where is this clip filmed?
The event, Is
It is a performance. It's not a rehearsal, is it?
No, it's a performance. Yes. Yeah.
And it's a 5-minute extract, so we're a minute in where we're about to come into it from. See you on the flip. That will not be my catchphrase, guys. Tell me you're nearly 40 without telling me you're nearly 40. Basically. perfectly timed water break from me. You're a really beautiful performer.
Thank you.
As someone who engages their face, not one bit. It was really, I was fixated with your facial expressions. It's gorgeous. Did you have any questions, or did you have any questions for the audience about what they saw? No pressure to, but were there any specific areas that you wanted them to have observed or feedback on?
I'm actually always curious to know what, like in general, what they think is happening. Is there something very specific that comes across for you? It could also just be a word, actually.
I was going to suggest throwing some words out potentially that I can then say into the mic for those watching on the live stream. Get a little back to the lab with it. I shan't channel my inner John Z. D. I'll save that for another time.
I love this style of dance you do because I know quite a few students who do it. And I wanted to ask you about the music. Because with your storytelling, does the musician follow you? Or are you timed, is everything timed like how we might do in maybe a typical like style of choreography? Because I love the ebbs and flows, and it, at one point I couldn't tell like if you were leaving or the musician was leaving.
Should I answer right now? Or
I won't go verbatim, impossible. Question from Nadia about the music used in the work.
Yes. So I'll first begin with crediting the musician, Bishop Prasanna. He's sitting right in front of me. He's a mridangist. The percussion instrument used here is called mridangam. For this specific piece, I actually wanted the musician, him, to basically, I'm just gonna split this answer into two parts. One bit was where I wanted him to actually be himself. So the themes that I've actually split this piece into, say, a couple of phases, like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, etc., based on the storyline. For each phase, there were some specific themes and keywords that I was exploring. And I wanted to see how he responds to the themes, to the keywords. So I actually kept, I wouldn't say I was throwing the keywords at him, but I just kept parameterizing, if that's a word, the improv that we were trying to do. There's actually a part of this that he has fully improvised based on that, and there are parts of it that he set, and then I had some feedback to give, and then we built on it. Which brings me to the second part, where in Carnatic music, which is usually the traditional form of music that we use for Bharatanatyam, we have these 5 basic sets of beat patterns, like counts of 3, counts of 4, counts of 5, counts of 7, and counts of 9. So I actually wanted to start with something that's very familiar to everyone, which is a count of 4, because everyone goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 every time we dance. And these were the bits where I kept tuning whatever he was trying to do, because I wanted to start with something extremely familiar, but then introduce some bits of flavor to it, which was again his choice. And then there's another part where everything starts getting a bit tense. So he had suggested that this is a place where we could probably work with counts of 5, because it gives this sense of urgency of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how would that sound like? And he actually did a great job in bringing his vision to life. So yeah, it's a mix of both.
Any other, to answer Sneha's question about any thoughts on the themes that were playing out in the piece that you watched? Any words you'd like to dash out? And if there are none, that's okay. Conversation?
Conversation, okay.
Lost
Lost
and
and found. Okay.
This always
Wow.
happens. Like,
I just
Any
had
more?
an epiphany.
Direction?
Direction. So, would you mind elaborating on that?
Yeah, I think it was just that the motif that you did, you know, with the art where it was like, I don't know, it kind of made me think of not only direction but like uniform as well, like you're trying to fit yourself in a box but you're not quite sure like which way to go.
Yeah.
I had a slightly different take on that. I'm sorry, did I interrupt?
So fine.
Of like seeing a grid of sorts,
Mm.
and yeah, I guess quite literally like a sheet of maths paper that you were like lining up on, and then like moving in between, and I think a sense of frustration, but also like a really rich scenery of textures and like visions or something.
Yeah, there was this moment where your like focus and your sort of curiosity kept shifting, and that's what stayed with me. So that like curiosity, like that was just 360 around the space.
Should I elaborate on some of
Please.
these? I really like the word conversation because quite evidently that is what is happening on one side of the space. Grid, lost and found, these are all, like grid-like structures is what I was exploring on, say, this side of the space. For me, again, because as I was saying, I love watching things in general. For me, this side was very military grade, where I was just on it, on my work. And it gave me a bit of, from the show Severance, where it's almost like I just whooped back in this space where I'm now I'm unaware of what's happening in the rest of the world, but this is it. This is my work. That's all that I'm focused on. And then there's this space, which is my favorite space, which is where I often find myself I just keep getting pulled back into. And I call it, so somewhere on the lines of Lost and Found, I actually call this whole thing order and chaos. Because this space is so, I think the word that you used was rich. It's exactly that for me because it's so imaginative, and even there's no lines, it's all flowy, and there's just so much going on, and I absolutely enjoy being in this space, but I need this space because I need to earn money, so all my work happens on this side, but I have zero focus, so I just keep being in this space. And I think that's where the whole struggle is, where I try to distinguish this space and this space, where my work is so rigidly work and fun is so rigidly fun. But eventually, for me personally though, something that I have learned in my very short span of life is that probably I have to let it coexist. I have to let my fun sometimes lead my work. And that's where I was leading towards, where my fun side actually helps my work give shape to my work. And I think that's come from a real life experience of where I'm trying to find the fun parts in my day to day, and that's just helping me work better actually. So if anything, it should improve the way I dance, and it should improve, it's just going to relax me much more than the nervous, jittery feeling that I have every time I just even look at this space, for that matter, when I was trying to walk into the space. So I think for me, it's quite, I mean, you guys guessed it pretty much right. It's very much something that I had differentiated in the beginning of the piece, but then eventually it just all started coming in together. Yeah.
Very beautifully articulated.
Thank you.
Our time has come to an end. So ominous. I need to work on these openers and what are they called? I don't know what they call them. Links.
Links.
There you go. If ridiculous. For those in the room who are meeting you for the first time, is there anything else that you'd like them to know tonight?
About
You.
me. Okay. Even though I come from a space of having learned Bharatanatyam, I'm actually a very curious and experimental person. So I love talking about and watching different styles of art in general. So I'm actually just always open to, again, as I said, hear different stories, learn how there are different ways of exploring an art form. And yeah, I'm just more than happy to have conversations about anything and everything under the sun.
The sweetest. See her, everybody.
Should I just read this one?
Please. We have a little mic changeover to do before I speak with Louise. So that can happen while I say things. Thank you, Sneha, you're the best.
Thank you so much.
It's worth saying that as well as the artists being the scratch of the night, that spiiill is also... I'm scratching the surface of what it is as an event. I think that the community, and specifically me coming from like choreo scene, which sounds a bit cringy, but hey, that's what I'm leaning into cringe tonight, it seems. And hip hop circles, and it came to mind to fill the gap for them more specifically, but I think it could have a greater purpose. But speaking with the trio earlier this evening, I would have liked to have led with a little bit that I really lean into like lo-fi ways of doing things anyway, and I might have had ideas like these are leftover postcards, like I didn't get these printed specifically for tonight, although I really did want to. But there's just things that I have ideas about, and unless they feel like needs and musts for the event to do what the event needs to do, I tend to just let them be. For like costs perhaps, but also I just really like drilling down into what a thing is without fluff. Postcards aren't fluff, banners and stuff aren't fluff, but they can, the more direct a route I can create for what the purpose of a thing is, I will. All that to say, so championing scratch and lo-fi, low resource ways of doing things, especially in this damn cosy lives, because it doesn't seem to be going anywhere, does it? Anyway, next we have Sweet Louise.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you feeling?
All right. It's nice to be up here, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah. Before
Softer
I was.
than you might have
Yeah.
thought. Good. I will start with the same question that I started with Sneha. What have you lost?
Sophia said it's okay.
Yeah, you little.
Yeah.
It's okay. Fine.
Yeah.
Who are you, creatively speaking?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I would describe myself as a club and street styles dancer, mainly. I specialize in whacking, and yeah, I did train across all various street and club styles. And more recently, I also trained a bit in contemporary as well. And my focus gradually is moving into choreographing. So yeah, and I've done a bit of battling. I've done group choreographies, and then now solo choreography is the thing.
Lovely.
Was that appropriate?
That was appropriate. Whatever you would have said would have been appropriate. Well, it was appropriate.
Within reason.
Yeah, it was appropriate. I was like opening a can of worms here. I'm going to latch on to battling a little. given our previous discussions about moving from that or going between that into theatre spaces, why are my two questions around that.
Okay. Yeah.
Between the two.
I have a really clear and strong why on this because, yeah, I was battling. And I am still battling, probably since 2021, so I'm not a huge veteran, but I'm just a mid-career battler. I don't know if that's a thing. But
It is now.
But for some reason, it wasn't satisfying. There was something about this 45 seconds, a song you don't know or you don't like, and a judging criteria that no one knows what it really is, and kind of competitiveness with people that are also your friends, and yeah, all these things that are out of your control, which I think they actually don't offer you a space to do your best dance. And I would find that really frustrating. I would feel like I would go into the battle space and just not be myself and not do what I know I can do. And so I found that really also a bit dissonant because it was okay, I am doing a dance style for which battling can be important, whacking, and it gives you a lot of opportunity to use your dance skills, but also it doesn't feel right, and it doesn't feel like I'm showing I am meant to be this person. I think it's also quite an egotistical space, or quite a celebrity-like space, where it feels really good if you do well, or and then if you don't pass prelims one time, it feels heartbreaking and a bit yeah, I think it was being a table with one leg is how I would like to describe it. So then I had to really think about okay, this can't be all there is to all this dance training practice that I'm doing and everything that I want to share. Mm-hmm. And I was already around the boy blues spaces, the breaking convention, the place. I was already there as well and getting that inspiration from those artists who were already doing those things. And I started to kind of see how this training that I was doing could, and also battling is the most intense form of spontaneous creation, right? So I was okay, this surely can help to create dance theatre pieces. Mm-hmm. And that was why I thought okay, you know how to create something, but imagine now you can plan it. You can choose the song that you want. You can structure it. The people who come to watch you, they're not kind of waiting for you to do a backflip. I had a feeling I think that this is also so transferable. And if I have a story that I want to tell, then it can perfectly, transfer. And so I would say the moment that gave me, the opportunity that gave me the moment to make that transfer as well was Stanley Art's New Beginnings program, which they have every January. And I am one of the founding members of London Whacking Movement. And we applied to that, and we made it was a short piece, but a group piece. And that was really the moment where I realized oh, we can use this whacking that we've been doing in battles, and we've been training in jams and clubs and parties, and we can make something more formal with it. So, yeah.
Tell them stories.
Yeah.
When did you start battling, did you say?
21.
You started battling in 2021?
Yeah.
And then did New Beginnings that same year?
No, in 2023.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got you. And you've been making dance for theatre since?
Yeah, since then. Although I did choreography before, if you know what I mean, but not for theatre.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a really niche sidebar, but just between pals.
Mm.
You went to do a show with Larkin.
I did indeed.
How on earth was that?
Yeah.
Sorry. There's a choreographer that I know very well and have hosted from Denver, Colorado, called Larkin Poynton, who's a brilliant man and makes really beautiful pieces of work. And it's that fever dream thing where it's just worlds colliding that I wouldn't have clocked and that I saw occurred. Relevant, because the work he makes is very singular and not theatre on crack, but it's rich and dense. in material and theme, I'd say. So how was that experience?
First of all, I think he's a genius. Like, I think he's so, like, his brain can, just like create and process like 100 million miles a second. Like, it was so awesome to see that.
To sleep.
Perhaps. And yeah, it was but he was also choreographing with Pao Arnau, and Pao is more of a chill guy. So I think we had a bit of, the best of both worlds. We saw them choreographing a lot together as well, and how they would, so we had a lot of duos in the piece basically, so that was also interesting. And they really used a lot of hands as well.
And you'd applied for this, is that right?
Yeah, it was a 3-month fully funded program, and the last month was to make the performance and then perform it. But you will not have seen much about it on social media because we don't have the video yet, but it's coming.
Great, that was for me. That was a very self-indulgent question. Sorry, not sorry.
But to add one thing, to kind of make it a whole comment, I think it was really inspiring in the sense that they showed me how to take a movement motif and how to really, really, draw out so much material from one thing, how to play around with it, and I think that will really inform how I work going forward. Yeah.
So when you wrote to me about battling to dance theatre, and I think we touched on it. So Louise did III in October, so just a month ago, and I think we would have spoken about it then. But I see a lot of, not necessarily battlers, but people that come from hip-hop dance, when they do move into theatre, we wouldn't necessarily use and build on a motif. I think we'd be more prone to throwing everything in the kitchen sink choreographically at a thing, especially if we've come from like showcase. I don't know how else to describe that. Showcase, periscope, bellish, not stylistically in the dance, but what her sets and pieces of work might look like. And so the thought of having maybe a 4 count and manipulating that for maybe 10, 15 minutes would be like, God forbid, the crowd will crash out. Not crash out in the Gen Z way of using the word crash out, like fall asleep. And I think you doing, not even necessarily specific to Larkin, but stepping into the place and doing the programme at Stanley Arts and exposing past the style, with knowing full well whatever you learn outside, you're going to pull it back in and use it with whacking. But I think that's a really smart move in making theatre and not a well choreographed piece of dance. It made me, well, actually it really took me back to doing A-level drama. I was suddenly like, okay, motifs, what was the word? Tableaus, yes, tableaus. It felt like that kind of like, you have time. You like that? The tableau's good. I was thrown back into the drama studio at secondary school immediately when you said tableau.
Yeah.
Freeze frame. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, it was like there's life beyond the battle, you know. It was like, wow, look at it out here.
I think also with making more abstract work, like I do like to leave a show and know what I've seen. I don't need everyone to be on the same page, but I don't like to have read the programme and still be like, like I don't need that much abstraction to my tastes. But again, I think in our scene, and I think it's because of lack of resources, it's like, if I only ever get this chance to tell this story, I'll be damned if people don't understand it, and it can make for maybe like some surface level devices. Tableau. Like I dare say, I probably have seen some hip hop theatre work in the past that involves a tableau. No judgment, love a tableau, but you know, just not necessarily having the devices to dig deeper or just leave questions when work is scene and maybe not have everyone on the same page about it. And that's brave in any case, but especially if you don't know if you're going to get the next bit of funding to make the next show, as we are almost all experiencing now. But we will prevail, and Scratch will be a part of that. Moving on to Invisible Body.
Yes.
And the involvement of poetry in it.
Yes.
Tell us more.
Yeah, so the piece that you will see today is called Invisible Body, and I made it at a residency which I did in Seoul. I was living there actually for the last 2 years, which is why I haven't been around London that much recently, so yeah, not everyone will know who I am. But in that time I also experienced quite a lot of loneliness actually, and I think it was like, I think now I reflect on it from a broader point of view, it also is maybe symptomatic of maybe what Gen Z kind of are experiencing in this like peak capitalist world, and how we've grown up with social media, and now we're not marrying early, and families are not our priority and things like that, which I think is totally fine, but it does lead to being alone quite a lot. And so I just had this feeling sometimes that I would just be walking around and just like no one was seeing me. And so after one particularly like frustrating day, I just sat down at my table and wrote about feeling like I'm living in an invisible body. And then a few months later, this residency opportunity came up, and we had to also pitch our idea. And you know, I don't know why I was like, this is the poem that is the one. But maybe because it's such a visual kind of idea, like to have an invisible body, and it can also lead to a lot of questions that can lead to movement motifs. And yeah, it was really interesting because I took it to the mentor that I was working with, and I said, I have this poem. And he was like, oh, why don't we try recording it and then see how that can stimulate your movement. And that was really interesting because it was like, okay, first we have the rhythm of the words. Mm-hmm. And secondly, we have like the literal, the meaning of the words and how the movement can reflect the meaning of the words, like the wordplay. And then also the sensory kind of feeling of the poem as well, and how can that kind of be suspended in the pauses between the lines. So it was such a fruitful, like rich kind of bed of soil in which to grow ideas from. So 10 out of 10 would do that again, yeah.
Can we name the mentor?
Oh yes, Jaekwon Kim. He's a contemporary dancer and breaker as well. So it was quite convenient because I'm a whacker, and he could definitely understand, from my point of view, like how I was thinking about things. And that was a very contemporary space, that residency. We had 6 other dancers on there and 2 other contemporary dancer mentors. And that, I think that really shaped also the result of the piece and how I was more willing to let things be what I would describe as awkward, especially in terms of a club styles dancer. And yeah, just was able to think a bit more broadly, yeah.
When was this residency?
It was in March of this year, yeah. It was a short residency, but we performed the piece in Black Cube Lab in Seoul, which is where this video is from, yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to say about it before we watch it?
Is there?
I don't know.
I think it was definitely, I think it's definitely better to watch it in real life. I can definitely say that. And
hey. Possibilities.
We are in real life.
I'm joking.
Okay,
Change
so
of plan, guys. I'm just going to pull this out.
No, I don't mean it like that, but I think I was definitely sensing the mood of the space as well, and that was influencing me in the moment. I think that's natural anyway, but yeah, it was a black box theatre with with no like set of seats. It was like people were sat on the floor around us, and I did one performance here, and another person, we then just rotated the audience, and they were over there and then over there. So it was a bit site specific in a way. And yeah, it's whacking sometimes, and sometimes I think you cannot necessarily call it whacking, but it all comes from I think the foundations of whacking abstractly, from the posing, things arrived, but then you may not see what the pathway from the posing was, so it's all done with whacking in mind, and I think it is whacking dance theatre to some extent, but it's also just my movement and who I am as a person in there as well,
Worth saying, and I could have done this on the side, but I don't tend to do side chat, so just do the chat, that I did consider having live performance as part of the evening, but I think that would have changed the conversation that we'd be having if you
we would have been like,
but even if we just spoke this half and then it was live performance, I still think that this chat would be different, just knowing in the back of your mind that you were going to have to move, or even other way around. I just think it impacts the focus of it being the spoken practice, just to take on that better in real life thing. Also worth saying to you all that they were invited to show whatever they wanted, and that this could also be an unfinished article. So it's not all necessarily performances and finished work that you're seeing. This is an extract, is it?
Yeah, I just wanted to say on that, I really like the start and the beginning of the piece, so I did cut out a bit of the middle. So yeah, just bear with that 30 seconds, that's a little bit weird, or in the middle,
And with that, an extract of Invisible Body.
What a peculiar thing to house one's soul in an invisible body. What a strange feeling to exist see-through. What a hollow feeling to walk around with no one to see you. What a bleak feeling to persist without existence. What an experience to make my home in an invisible body.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
And really beautifully filmed as well.
They did well.
Yeah, someone had their
Yeah.
eye on the details.
Yeah.
I asked each artist about feedback, and it was a bit of a projection from me because I've done professional development programs before, and work is, you know, it is incomplete, and then you're kind of attacked with people's take on it. It's like, I don't want any of this right now, actually. So I wanted to be sure that I was taking note of each individual in that. And so in that, sorry, not sorry, we're not inviting it so much. And I think that's really okay if you are feeling like odd about that at all. I think it's really okay to show your work and then have that be what it is. Just to say that. Keen to know how long the work is in its current stage, should I say, and any plans for it to develop, be performed elsewhere.
So it was 8 minutes, and actually I kind of forgot to say as well that actually there was a longer version of the poem, and before that started, because I think that start was quite abrupt, actually that poem was also played? Yeah, it was like a recording of it was played. So it was 8 minutes with that part, and I'm umming and ahhing whether I like that part at the start where I was saying the poem. And actually I was just stood on stage, and yeah, I'm umming and ahhing about if I liked that or not. And I really would like to develop it further, and I am open to comments, but like maybe not like digging too deep, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
It's really hard to control that.
Yeah, I understand that.
And in my experience, once you open up to feedback, you're opening up to feedback, and even if it is curated, once you put a mic or give someone the floor, they can, and not, this isn't about you guys personally, obviously, you can't control
It's true,
that.
it's true, yeah.
And I think you were right to lead with your gut on that. And knowing that you've said that, I'm sure if there are observations that someone is really desperate for you to hear, they will let you know somehow.
Yeah. I would really like to extend that piece. I think I was actually a little bit limited also by the music being. It was like 2 songs by Floating Points mixed together, and like I think I felt a bit limited, especially at that time. I think now I'm more confident that I can choreograph even without music, but at that time I was like, oh no, I need to be in the music, and I felt like that kind of limited the potential length. And I also would quite like to group it with some other pieces which I'm creating now, which are in a way not thematically related, but I would quite like to just make what I would call a suite of pieces, which I think are all in the same universe, but they're not on the same topics, and they have really different feelings in them. Like one is about my Persian heritage, and I think that that's way more homely, and also, but it has just at the end this little bit of dissonance about double belonging, which I think would seg kind of nicely into Invisible Body, which I think is quite confronting in a way. It's both like vulnerable, and I think that links nicely to the Persian heritage piece, which is called E, and I think they would link well together. And I already have one more idea, which I think would be a good opening piece for like a 3-suite kind of hour-long show somehow. I think it would definitely be like, whoa, that was a roller coaster, but I think it would actually be kind of refreshing for the audience to go to these 3 different worlds, which are, in the same cosmos, but not the same world. So yeah, I would like to do that. I'm not sure how or when, but I really want to, yeah.
New beginnings, Stanley Arts.
Yeah, again, every year. I'm back.
I will send every residency I see or thing that might help that.
I'm furiously
your way.
applying, I am, yeah.
Did you apply for Baptista? Okay. See, can't be controlled. Sorry. For people meeting you for the first time tonight, is there anything else you would like them to know?
I think I'm really in a moment right now where I'm really open to experimentation, trying new things, like collaborating or sharing artistry in any kind of way. So if anyone, I don't know, this feels really bold to say, but if anyone is interested in doing like anything that's experimental, developmental together, it doesn't need to be like whacking, you doing whacking or anything like that, then I'm really interested in doing that. Or if you see something that reminds you of this piece or something, then yeah, I just really like building this whole world like around me that's like creative and optimistic, hopeful. Yeah, I just think that's, yeah, if anyone's interested to join it, let's go together, you know?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Louise, everybody. The mic switch over, which was so much quicker than I thought it was going to be. I went on a whole jibber jabber and there was just no need for it. Thank you. Thank you. That was delish. Oh, it slid right down the...
Yeah, it's
Come up here. Here she comes. Strap in, guys. This one. Oh. So sorry. Just so it's said, I think Sneha and Louise would make brilliant things together.
Yeah. I second that motion. All right, where am I
pressure. Absolutely no pressure, just saying it.
putting it into the ether?
Yes.
Now, will this stay is the question.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
You could hold it, but then you'd be sat here like that.
No, I don't feel like I want to do that.
Which might
I
be
feel like
shame.
this works for me. Sophia, I'm going to eyeball you. Great. Joy.
So, okay. Great.
I'm going to
Okay. Oh, gonna shout, apparently. Moving swiftly on to our third and final guest.
If she will, you know what?
You can
She's
just,
gonna...
yeah, you can do that. No need to clip her on.
Hi.
Peeps.
Hi. Hi. More things. Joy.
Yeah. Welcome to...
Hi, y'all. Hi, y'all. Blessings.
How are you feeling?
I was really enjoying listening to both of the artists speak, and I was having many a moment where I was just staring at you and thinking, I'm your friend, Dad. Because I love when brain babies become like things that are happening in real life, and it all takes courage, so I just had a moment where I was just like beaming at you, whilst also locking in, whilst also feeling very mellow. So yeah, I'm good, I'm blessed. I'm excited to be here with y'all.
A teeny bit of context, perhaps. So we've known each other since 2018?
2017.
So sorry, 17. It was years and years, wasn't it?
It was years
yeah.
and years.
So I used to assist a choreographer called Aaron Sillis, and we were working on a tour that Keeks joined, and that was the start of our working relationship. Keeks has done II a couple/few times. Yeah. And we are dear sweet friends. So straddling a few worlds there.
All right.
Which is why she's beaming. That's us. Back to you.
Hello.
Who are you, creatively speaking?
I am an alchemist and a storyteller. I integrate everything in my lived experience into something else. It is all ever-changing to me. I find that movement is one of the most ancient technologies that we have access to. Before we had symbol or languages or how we speak, children hear music and diaper on, just, So yeah, movement for me is one of the first and most ancient tongues, and my life experiences began to collect on my body, and movement was a way to express that. So through the narratives and lives, many lives that I've lived, I transform all of that energy into something else that shows up through my art. And it comes out through the language of contemporary, through hip hop, through more modern Afro languages like Azonto, and more traditional tongues like Balongo or Uta, Ukumbi, or very recently in the last year for me, Eskista from Ethiopia. And I'm obsessed with everything in Ethiopia. A relatively newer tongue, but again, when everything is movement, you see how all the languages tie in. So even in, Uta shows up in Ndombolo, which is from a whole other part of Africa, so all of the tongues are mixing in. So in feeling like an alchemist and a storyteller, I find that even when I move in languages known to me, sometimes I'll discover that, oh, that thing is super old and I've never trained that, but very much something that my body knows and speaks from ancient codes or current codes, is my answer to that question.
A little giggle after. You literally shapeshift, but you certainly are one of many dancers in our scene and world that jump between contexts. And I'm thinking, because of the one that I met you in a more commercial sense, and I find it really interesting knowing you, but also the way that you do externalize your practice and the artist that you are in the way that you just spoke about, and how that can exist in a film or in a music video. And I'm interested in how.
I think and feel that I have always been like this. So I came out like this. And I just think about my mama all the time, like, my God, today, you were fighting for your life. So translating all of that through the many seasons and many forms that I've been, it becomes easy for me to show up in every space with my full embodiment. And where I then have to shapeshift around, context or the stages or the spaces or the people, I know my levers, I know my volumes. So a random example, working with Cash is not similar to working with Glenn Hudson. And that's not similar to working with Aaron Sillis, and that's not similar to being on set with like an American choreographer that their energy might be in the 5,000s, And for me, I have to be clear on what it is that I'm bringing into every space. And first and foremost, it's always going to be play, and it's always going to be the spirit behind everything that we're doing, like I was just saying. So when I entered into spaces, keeping the play present and keeping my connection in however it shows up in that day, my connection to spirit present, it allows me to tap into the many tongues that I may be experiencing in the space. And I can find my own way of communicating through that tongue. It's like different dialects. As someone who's Nigerian, we have over 200 languages in my country alone. And in my mom's tongue, it's Igbo, but there are 2 ways you can speak Igbo. I kind of see stepping into the world of creativity or play or work in that same essence where I speak my language, but I may give it to you in a different dialect in this space. And because that's what's guiding my why, it becomes easy for me to be clear in what my yes is and what my no is. I say no to a lot. And that's not even based on privilege, that's just based on my mental health cannot be in the dustbin because I want to collect check. I can't come and kill myself, okay? So, again, I came into this with a full brain, I didn't I didn't do the dance school route, you know, that's a whole other topic, but I didn't do the
Me
dance school
neither.
route. Yeah, my G's. And I tend to find the people I adhere to, same vibe, you know. So, yeah, when you are comfortable with your no's and you are comfortable with your yeses, you then become very intentional with your yeses. And even if it's challenging, even if it's, I go home and my body feels whatever, even if, you know, my brain was a little bit slower in that space, or even if I had an incredible day, it's all part of my play, it's all part of my connection to spirit, and I'm just learning all the ways to listen to God. It's how it feels for me. So that's the how for me. I'm just having a good time, y'all. If you see me outside, I'm having a good time. Nothing less. Nothing less. I'm so sorry. I can't do it. I
If
can't.
she's not having a good time, she's inside.
I am
She's
inside.
What makes a yes a yes?
Ooh. Okay, so a couple of things. The main thing is always, what does it offer me in the season that I'm in? So, in some seasons, I just gotta shake ass a little bit. You feel me? Because I've been inside for so long that might as well get these coins while I shake ass. You feel me? And then other seasons are like, you know, I've been going through sliding down the walls. And
It's these. It's these.
and it's, you know, integrating some real shadow work, you know, integrating some real medicine, you know, even if it's bitter, really taking my time to digest that. And I need avenues of expression that aid in that integration, aid in that melding pot, if you will. And so, yeah, it heavily depends on the seasons that I'm in and what I need in that season. And then it also depends on the people that I work with. I'm a huge vibe person, and I don't need to know you for it to be a that thing, you know. I'm very clear on my colleagues and all my friends. My friends don't have to be, you know, but I'm also the kind of being that I'm very blessed to have intersecting relationships where I may work with, you know, oh, hello, both of these. I may work with a friend who's also a mentor, who's also a sister or whatever that may be, you know, so, and I've also come onto projects where I've worked with complete strangers and you've ended up becoming family, you know, even going further back before we went into years and years, Rachel K brought you into flight mode, and that was my first ever experience of you, and I was just like, oh, I love this, I love it here. And then the years and years were how we deepened and the friendship began to blossom from that space, so it's heavily dependent on the type of people that I'm going to work with, and like I said, especially if they're not friends, I'm just open to finding the different tongues of the Most High in all the spaces that I'm in. And that just makes it really fun for me. So my seasons, the people that I work with, and the last layer for me is how can I challenge myself through the experience. So though I love working with people that I have great working relationships with, I also will say yes to somebody that I may not have worked with before, and it allows me to find a whole different way of working. Whereas for some artists, that's what leads the push, you know. But for me, I want to enjoy this dance, you know. I've very much spoken to you before about, like, there are choreographers who, I get it. I get the reason why you want to be so full out, but you're not dancing. You're fighting, but you like the fight. You actually said that you love the battle. I don't want to battle with you. Especially because of my why. This is very spirit-centered for me. This is very medicinal for me in so many ways, you know. So I love to work with and collaborate with artists and beings and labels and spaces who are just like, we're in it for the art, we're in it for the expression, and there are going to be challenges that come with it, but it's all going to be for your highest expansion and your highest good. So yeah, that is what flows for me.
Do we want to speak about breathwork?
Sure, yeah. I'll keep that concise. So with that, breathwork is a love service / business that was born out of, I tried to run and I couldn't run anymore. I navigated, it's the truth of it, I navigated a lot of experiences in my life in solitude. I didn't have the guidance that I needed. So as I navigated my journey, I discovered movement, and through movement, with anybody who dances or speaks through that language, you understand that codes come online in the body, things are shaken loose, you know, for anybody who does any somatic work. So things came online, and gifts that had been activated since, like I said, I've always been like this, you know, gifts that I've always existed within began to exist in a way where I couldn't ignore them anymore. They were showing up in everything, and I was just like, okay. I tried to run from this, and through that I then began to serve. So context, background, before I started practicing movement and stepping into that world as an artist, I studied psychology for 4 years, and I worked in the field for a year, and I found the practices entirely too colonized for me, and it neglected a lot of ancient technologies. When I speak about ancient technologies, I mean things that we don't even think about as technology, like a seer. Where you getting that information from? Your everlasting Bluetooth? You know, things that we are now crediting AI for and things like that. We have had access to ancient technologies for as long as I can remember. So particular things were coming online in my body and had been online for a very long time. And I did not find that I could embody that through the European lens. So I stepped away, became an artist, or trained to become an artist, and within a space of 10 months, my whole world came online. And through that, shout out Rachel K and Flight Mode and Your Spaces and My Loving and the corner of a room crying, all of these things are part of the practice, you know? Those things all, you know, found their landing spot within my heart, and I began to serve. I began to show up in a way where I'm just an ear, come, let's talk, let me listen. You know, this work was, what is now a business, was free and donation-based for 3 years. I just did it because I couldn't not do it, you know, and then as the dream began to grow, and as I began to really see the vision, I was like, oh, we need coins for this. We need coins for this, okay. So I still had to find a way to serve, and that felt like, yes, we can get the money, but we can also keep the heart centered. So I created sliding scales, and, you know, I volunteer with anyone under 18. You don't have to have the coins for it. I made it make sense, basically. Mm-hmm. So through my practice, my modalities include movement. They include guided meditations. They include visualizations. They include a service that brings you back into the full awareness of your gifts. They include a lot of the things that I learned in the mental health space, like we have the talk therapies, we have all of the things that allow you to look into the mind, but I found it valuable to add a lot of the ancient technologies like movement that bring things online for you, you know, and through that, I've found ways to show up as an artist in even more authentic ways, because all of these things that I'm doing somatically for my body, all of these things that I'm doing, I'm such a sensory baby. Look good, smell good, baby, okay?
With the too much.
Okay? But with the actual medicine, not just with the chemicals, you feel me? Like get the lavender, like put it on your temples, now you're thinking clearer, you know? So I was then like, oh, what happens? It doesn't just smell good. Let me do this. Let me drink this lavender tea, and then let me like lab for 30 minutes and see what happens. Oh, delicious time. So I was just like, okay, there is a world where we can merge all of these things together and deepen this language of how we're speaking. So breathwork is not separate from my face of Keeks Katika, and Keeks Katika is not separate from my faces of Ememobong, the high priestess, you know, and she's not separate from the clown that is I from within, you know. They're all one body, so yeah, thank you for asking.
Go you.
Thanks, Rand. Guys, I'm actually scattering this mic, Sophia.
Is it on the floor?
It's on the floor.
I'm sure it's just the pad that's on the floor.
It's just the padding, and this is all happening in real time, so here we are. Carrying on.
Can we speak about what it is we'll watch?
Yeah, a little bit, sure. So initially I was going to share a rehearsal, and the rehearsal, so the context of one of my practices of how I work is I lean into the elements of everything that I'm experiencing. So in English, fire, air, water, earth, ether. And in my language and in my culture, a lot of these elements become spiritual deities. They become bodies of life. Even if you are not working with the deity in prayer, you just understand that everything in this world has its own spirit. For example, water, all the water here has always been here. When I think about that, I just want to scream sometimes. All the water here has always been here. So like from floods, from, what's in that water? The water holds the codes, the water holds the memories, and then you step into things like my culture, and we have, in many cultures, we have mami waters, we have all of these different things, but before we get into the energies and the spirits that live in the water in itself, in and of itself, is a living entity. There are experiments that have been done on this around, studying water and speaking life into water and seeing that the water will hold the frequencies of the language that has been shared with it. So whether it's positive or negative, the frequency of the water will physically change. So I think about all the bodies of water all around the earth that have held prayers and sadness and mothers and death and life. And I think about all of these things. So internally, we are 75, that number is always ever shifting, but 75 to like 80% water. So not only is this element outside of you influencing you, you need it to survive, and it's also like over half of what is making your physical body. So what are the secrets and the codes that are alive within you that your mind doesn't know, because the water of your body is what's holding it? So miri is how we say water in my mother's tongue. Obi is your heart and your mind, so they're interchangeable. So in my culture, when we talk about your heart, it's not separate from your mind. So in the Western world, when you're separating the two, it's like, that's why y'all are fighting. So to merge it together, to lead with your heart, we have beautiful examples in our lives, There are ways to be logical, and I have Capricorn all through my charts, like, I need, let's get it together.
That's me, baby.
Baby, and I love it. I love you for it. Because I have that in me. There are spaces where we can get it together, but there are also spaces for flow. So when I think about the heart and the mind and our tongue, we say Obi. Obi is heavily influenced by Miri, which is your water, because the water is carrying around all of that information. And then we have Mo. Mo is our spirit, and your spirit is I like to think about it as the whispers of the wind. You don't know where it's coming from, you don't know where it's going, but you feel it when it's there, So everything that I create from, one of my baseline tools is Miri, Obi, and Mo. And even if I'm going into choreography and I start with labbing, I start in that space there, and I let myself find what pathways carry me and what streams are carrying me back into the oceans of life, So a part of what you are going to watch today is a video that I wrote the treatment for. I created the movement around, and I had complete free reign. An artist that I work with and I movement direct for, her name is Aloia. She's incredible and a sister of mine. She was just kind of like, I was in the studio when she was playing around with the beats as well. We make a lot of music together as well, just for fun, which is another thing, sidebar. But yeah, I saw the process of this, and I saw the chant and the prayer that she went into when she created some of this. So when I was then creating the movement for it was easy for me to tap into my woods, tap into my heart and my mind, and tap into the spirit, because I watched the fleshing out of it. And when she may finish a song, she was like, when I think about this song, I think about you, because this is literally how you move. So she was like, the whole video, I don't want to be present. You go away, you write the treatment, you do whatever you want to do. I would show up in the day and I would support your creative process, because this music is literally the embodiment of how you play and how you pray. So what we are seeing is a living prayer. It is a bridge between the elements Miri, Obi, and Mo. When you act as a bridge, you are not always present. So some of what you are going to see is connected deeper into African spirituality. So watch with the lens that you may not see the full story in front of you, but if you watch with your heart, you may hear all of the codes within you. Buy more.
Ziggy, ziggy, no way. Ziggy, no way. Ziggy, ziggy, no way, no way. Cause ziggy, no way. Ziggy, ziggy, no way, no way. Cause zing, zang, zang, zay. Zigga, zigga, zang, 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 zay. What's up? You want parlay? Kill off them entities. Oh, can't you tell no stalker? I'm a bad try follow. Try to buy with clutter. Like to keep it hollow. Realign and mutter. My divine like stutter. Different stripe this lover. Realize blow covers. Ziggy, no way. Ziggy, ziggy, no way, no way. Cause ziggy, no way. Ziggy, ziggy, no way, no way. Cause zing, zang, zang, zay. Zigga, zang, 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 zay. What's up? You want parlay? Kill off them entities. Oh, I see the chance my motto. Make the gin head spinner. Try to drain my cloud. Make them dollars. Backfired and suffered. Tender-hearted lovers. Giving off these others. Could just pop one sucker. If they see, then they can keep it. Cause I won't. Do you see me wasting time? Because I don't. I can breathe it cause I freed it on my own. Watch it, eat it, watch it, beat it to a pope. If they see, then they can keep it. Cause I won't. Do you see me wasting time? Because I don't. I can breathe it cause I freed it on my own. Watch it, eat it, watch it, beat it to a pope. Yeah. Deep diver, black viper, take time. I can see them gallop from the far horizon. Riders shining for me, take it slow, then striker. I can go a few ways, I'ma put that on my vibe. Top head hitter with the eyes of a tiger. Sides high, fly, feed my soul, give indulgence. Levels can't be checked, so I can't even compose this. Finish loading, shoot to show them.
I just want to say that all the art that you saw in that, my homegirl did that live and direct in 10 minutes. Yeah, cold.
I was going to ask if there was anything else you wanted to say about it after the fact.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of all art forms, and I have a very deep respect for musicians and painters or any kind of graffiti art makers, because just the real-time divine plug is so cool. So cool to see. Love it.
I don't know where the time's gone. But I won't repeat my catchphrase. I'll sort it out for the second round of it of the night. For anyone that is meeting you for the first time tonight, is there anything else that you'd like them to know?
I pray that as we share experiences in this moment, that what you witness from my art or my presence just reminds you to be whatever version shows up and be in whatever version shows up, because that's where the most breath of life is, you know? So for those who are meeting me for the first time, like, I pray that you really feel that deep breath in your belly. because it's gonna be in mind every time you see me, okay? Thank you, come again.
Peace, everybody.
Thank you.
And if you're meeting me for the first time tonight, let yourself be known. Who have I not met before this evening? Hi, the coolest. The night wasn't about me, but it does speak to everything, or to a lot of things that I feel are important to shed light on, and that is close to what Keeks just said, really, is just kind of showing up with what you got when you got it, and that being okay. In the world, but especially in the dance world, like I've started a podcast, which is really me just talking for 20 minutes while walking my dog. It's a really interesting thing. You get to hear rustling poo bags and everything, so it's a real time. But I was listening back to the earliest ones from this summer, and I had a bee in my bonnet about like gas, just organizations or people that gas you, but like the tangible support like isn't there, and it's like they really, like expect you to summon up shit you ain't got for shit they ain't even got, and count me out. Like I was really on one walking around this park in Croydon. It was like they'd obviously really done something to me in June. But I say that to say, I just think there's a lot of expectation on us and around us in the arts to summon up all that we might have to get. It's that twice as hard to get half as much thing. And times are really, they are hard. And I don't mean to keep drumming on about it, but also if it's the first time you're meeting me tonight, like realism is a role that I play. Like what is actually going on as opposed to the dream, because I can only really move with what's in front of me. That is just me. That's the Capricorn, I suppose, the practicality. And I just want to invite, even if it is a front-facing, paid-for, ticketed event, for the people on the stage to be who they are in that moment. And if that calls to you, Reese is about to come on the floor and say more about our second round, but we do these again. And if you'd love to come and sit with me, I would love to have you, so please do apply. And the idea of the Scratch Renaissance is that we take these nights, some of them existed prior to the Renaissance, but my hope is that after my second round that I do continue to do them. So if you'd like to practice articulating your practice, it would be my pleasure to have you. I'll stop speaking now. Reese, come say things.
Thank you for the microphone. Okay, love you guys, bye.
Down here. I probably am meeting lots of people for the first time tonight. So my name's Reese, and I also have the really hard job of coming on at the end and saying something, which we should really do it the other way around. But,
I was going to suggest that, but you're the boss.
No. As Tali's just said, I have the privilege of being the director of Chisenhall Dance Space, and firstly, thank you so much for joining us this evening. If you haven't been to Chisenhall Dance Space before, we're an artist-led development space, so I've got the best job in the world, because I don't have to program anything. Everything that happens here is led and initiated and ideated by artists. So I just want to say a huge thank you to the Graham Norton of dance, which is Tali. This was such a beautiful evening, and you've done such a wonderful job of curating it, and also thank you to the artists. I love this. This is like fun, isn't it? As Tali said, this is part of a program called Scratch Renaissance. This is hilarious.
We can't leave out the live stream, gang.
Hello. Which is part of a year-long program where we are trying to sort of reinvigorate the culture of scratch in London. Performance is dead, and we want artists to be, we want artists to be at the forefront of bringing back this culture of grassroots, do-it-yourself activity. So as Tali hinted at, we have 6 nights. Applications are actually open right now for the next 3 nights in January and March next year. They close next week. If you are a performer and you're interested in taking part in Passworks Recycling Plan, which is an evening for recycled work, Cross-Pollination, which is an evening where we bring together 2 artists and just ask them to make something happen, or Mind the Gap Open Night, which Taya, the curator, is actually here this evening, which is an amazing night for improv and spontaneous-based performance. please do apply. And as Tali also said, applications for this one will open next year. I just want to say thank you for coming. It really means a lot, I think, to everybody who puts on these types of events that people come and support grassroots DIY spaces. It's really challenging to compete with bigger theatres, and you being here, buying a ticket, really makes a difference to the space, our ability to support artists, and also the money goes directly towards the artists. So that's it from me. Thank you so much for coming. If you enjoyed it, please tell people you came to Chisenhall Dance Space, and if you didn't enjoy it, tell them you went to Sadler's Wells East. Oh, final thing. Please give us some feedback. It's really helpful for us. It's really helpful for Tali. I make that joke every time. It's really helpful for us. It's really helpful for Tali, and it allows us to make these events better. Thank you.
Can I just get Sneha and Louise back on the floor so that I can do this like Will Smith, and we can give them one last round of applause. Go team! You are released into your Friday night. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. I'm not running away, but I feel like they do need to close the building fairly soon, so I won't say buy a pint.
Okay.
You're the best. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tali.
All right, something pink over here.
What's that?
Because everything was just unraveling.
You would.
And I was like, wait, I'm just holding it. What's happening?